That's how you're starting it out with? You're starting it out with your practicing of the tagline?
I'm practicing. John, how are you doing? You were recently in Florida.
I was recently in Florida.
How was that?
It was good. When's the last time you were in Florida? Have you been to Fort Lauderdale?
I don't think I've ever been to
Florida.
Fort Lauderdale. Last time I was in Florida was in May for Sapphire.
Oh, cool.
So it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. We were at a conference, and there's a funny part about conferences where, and especially near the beach, so our hotel was near the beach, and so there's all these families that are walking in their swimsuits, like past the conference room that we're all in, just going to the thing, and so then you walk out like, I'm businessman doing business things, and they're like, I'm on vacation. I've been drunk since 10 a.m.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. The week was good. Yeah. Do you celebrate Thanksgiving in Nashville?
I do, yeah. You say that in a way that you're setting me up for something. I do celebrate Thanksgiving and having an attitude of gratefulness. That's what we're doing. I'm actually driving. We're going to go see some friends in Virginia and some family there.
We're in Virginia.
Hanging out. Harrisonburg.
Oh.
Have you been there?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Virginia. Virginia has some highway and traffic problems. Can I say that? Like, it is a nightmare to drive through. Do not enjoy it. And also just kind of a totalitarian police state from a traffic enforcement perspective, where literally everywhere you go, there's speed cameras, red light cameras, speed by airplane. And, they had a new one where they said that they do the like European thing of tracking your speed over distance, where it's like, it's not even just like we're trying to get you at like a certain with a speed camera. It's like we're tracking your car and how quickly you're arriving to our next like checkpoint area. And if you get there too fast, so we know you were speeding along that route, which I'm like, what if you get off the highway and like get gas or whatever, but you were speeding the whole way?
Which is what you do, I would imagine.
I drive pretty slow. I think to the frustration of my wife, I'm a pretty slow driver, but
your complaints about Virginia seem like a very pointed example. One thing happened, and then it sent you digging in and learning more about it, and you're just getting more and more mad about Virginia in particular.
I am not like a small government person, but it just does seem like a lot to not be able to drive anywhere without them like constantly checking your speed or watching you on camera. Like, feels a little Orwellian.
There's a friend of ours that's very much so, like they didn't have a mailing address. They just had a P.O. box. And so they couldn't get internet. So they're very like, anyways, really good friends of ours. But when we first started hanging out with them, the end of it is we left our kids with them to, we were going to go on a date or whatever, and left our kids with these friends. And then we realized after we left that we didn't know their last name. And so then we just started like realizing while we're eating dinner, like
I think there's a TV show about that. There's some like TV show that just came out where like the woman loses her child, like the child disappears or something. And the person she was leaving them with, she didn't really know, but it was because their nanny wasn't there, something like that. And it was kind of based on that premise of like, you're gonna not like this woman because she doesn't even know who she's leaving the kids with. But then like you find out, I guess this is all based on me reading the article. What a fun thing to listen to on a podcast. Someone else describing a TV show that they just read about.
Right. Why don't you try to do some comedy bits for us? Just pick a comedian and say it out loud.
So what is today's topic, John?
You tell me what today's topic is.
Today's topic, I think, is an interesting one because it's one that you and I have both lived through in the not too long ago, which is what should you do when you have a new manager? And I think people are often in a situation where either like their current manager leaves and a new one comes in, or there's a reorg and you're moved to a different team, or your leader's moved and then a new leader comes in. Any number of reasons why you could end up with a new manager. But I think there is a way to and to not navigate it. And I think to some extent it depends on the leader and their personality and what you're trying to accomplish in your role and whatever. But I thought today we could spend some time talking about like what do we think works? What do we prioritize? If we were that leader coming in, what would our expectations be? Like, what is a new leader comes in, what are you trying to do in that first 30 days?
Well, I don't want to answer that. I can. But a part of that, like this feels like a topic that's very top of mind for you because you've recently got a job change. And so now you have a new manager, a new leader.
Yep.
Wait, do you treat it differently when it's a manager versus a leader? Do you use that language specifically?
I don't try to differentiate that word. No. Do
Oh,
you?
okay.
Is a
Yeah.
leader different than a manager? Are you going
Uh,
to write a LinkedIn post about leadership versus management?
I was going to, but I feel like your tone is telling me differently.
Yeah.
I I've gone through this kind of cycle in my head of what to do when a new leader comes in, new manager comes in, and one of generally speaking, I try not to be the one whose head sticks up a lot. And actually, you said a line
Yeah.
to me. We were having a conversation probably 4 or 5 months
Yeah.
ago, and it was something to the effect of, "It's really easy to strike out, and you're not going to hit a home run." Is that what you'd said? Was that
Oh
your
yeah.
line?
So this was my friend Warren from a previous role. Shout out to Warren, who said it was like during a call with a new leader, and he like sent me a message that was basically like, you can't hit a home run, but you can strike out.
I like that.
And
Yeah.
basically the idea that in making a new impression, your odds of like hitting one out of the park really slim. Your odds
Hmm.
of just making a fool out of yourself are much higher. And I think that's like one of the things. I think like keeping your head down to an extent is a good piece of advice. I was going to ask you like when a new manager leader comes in, are you like what's your emotional reaction? Are you nervous? Do you just view it as an opportunity? What's your kind of perspective?
More opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I was thinking back how many new managers I've had, meaning how many new managers came in that I had zero relationship with ever. And
Mm.
that's only happened twice in my career. The first was my first job ever, and then I was an intern, and then I met who hired me because I got hired at the same company. And then the second is my current manager, which is kind of funny.
That is
And
funny.
so yeah, it's just kind of interesting. So I think opportunistic of just in they were brought in because they have a capacity to do something different, and this will help, and this will I'll learn a thing, I'll know what's going
Hmm.
to happen, or maybe I even won't know what's going to happen, but just change is afoot. This is good, and I kind of like change in a way. I think there's some good stuff to this, so I get opportunistic. Do you go the opposite? Does it make you worried?
There is for me kind of always I think some anxiety around this person might have a different set of expectations. I wasn't
Mm,
hired by them. I might not be the mold of in this role of what they're looking for. So I thought for this episode, I'll do kind of three things that I think generally are probably good advice, kind of no matter what the leadership style is or where you sit within the org.
mm,
My first one would be to just like knock out of the park your business as usual stuff. Like this kind of ties to your thing about keeping your head down is like there's good visibility and bad visibility. Nothing could be worse in the first 30 days or whatever, like your early days with a new manager or people leader than like catching attention for you not doing like the stuff that should just be like your bread and butter stuff.
like is that the so you kind of take your role, in your case I'm a product marketer, these are the core things that this anyone in this role does, be excellent at those, and don't miss a deadline, don't miss a communication, that sort of thing. Is that what you mean?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Nail those. Like if you were kind of dragging on some of those before this new leader comes in, one of the things that I think product marketers anywhere face is they need to get validation or review from cross-functional folks, and that can be sometimes a real struggle depending on
Mm.
how responsive those teams are. You need to really stay after that stuff so you can get stuff done.
In those first little bit, just saying like these are the core parts of what I have, and you don't have to worry about me here, is kind of
Yeah.
that what you're inadvertently communicating externally.
Yes, yeah, you can rely
Yeah.
on me. The next thing I think is, and this is more from the product marketing standpoint. I'm curious if you've got what your analog would be from the product management, and it's providing them with a kind of opinionated view that is a landscape view, state of the market. In my case, what I've done in the past is some SWOT analysis. Obviously, that's helpful for them to kind of have that point of view. And then two, it adds credibility to you in your ability to kind of one, how well do you know this market, this product, the landscape that you're trying to compete in, and two, it is like you understand that an opinion is valuable as it relates to these things because it means that you understand what the world around you. So I'm curious, like on the product management side, what would you kind of deliver in that vein?
Well, do you wait to get asked that, or do you just like, hey, first meeting, here's the lay of the land, here's what we've got.
It is no, but I would say like it's you're not waiting for them to ask for that specifically. You're just kind
Yeah.
of saying like, hey, just as background, I know you've got a lot on your plate.
Yep.
Here's some things that we're working on, and this is kind of like this is what we're prioritizing because this is kind of the general state of the market. So here's that state of the
Yep.
market view. If you
Yep.
want to have a briefing on it, we can walk through that.
Yeah.
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 Is the PM one? Would that be like you walking through kind of like this is the why to the roadmap?
A little bit. So that's where I was kind of in my head. I was trying to think through what I've done. Probably if you think about just time frame in the first 30 days, maybe be overt or direct rather in saying, here's the status of deliverables and how you can
Yeah.
watch this for yourself. Like that message is almost akin to, I just know the lay of the land competitively where we're from a market perspective, you might be sharing that in product. You would just say, hey, here's what's going on. Here's how you can find out what's happening, the status of different things. And then maybe depending on role, you could say, and here's why we're doing different products. When I say role, this is where POs and PMs kind of have a bit of a fluid definition across every
Yeah.
organization. So that part might be helpful to say, here's why we're making these decisions on the product. The part that I try not to do, and maybe this is like I catch myself doing, and so I'm trying to not do it, is to not give caveats for why you're a little bit different from everybody else. Like it just so easily gets you into the weeds that new manager may not be ready for at the time. But then also it just kind of discredits your ability to problem solve. To me, where if you just give caveats to we're different, what you might be used to doesn't apply here is what they hear. And a part of
Yeah.
that is also, and I don't know how to problem solve. So you're communicating the wrong thing.
John, that's the greatest lead in to my third one, which
Ooh.
is right. Any leader coming in is not going to come into a problemless org, right? There's something, whether or not that's why they're brought in or not, there's no way that your org is going perfectly. So as you're highlighting problems, yeah, I'm sure you've led perfect orgs.
Yeah.
As you're highlighting problems, like one of the things I was thinking about was the old good, better, best kind of like pricing methodology, or the idea that there are different quality levels to how you can deliver the news that there's a problem and what you're sort of providing as a solution. And so if I was framing it good, better, best, it would be like you've identified a problem, you're identifying a problem for them, and you're identifying a solution. Better would be you've identifying the problem, and here's a couple of solutions, like a choose your own adventure. The best would be you've identified the problem, and here's a data-backed recommendation for your solution that provides them kind of the evidence that they would need to say, like, yes, let's go with that. And it could be paired with some of the other options too of the routes they could go down. And so I think that ability to be and demonstrate that you're a problem solver, I think is really critical. Like all of these tie into, I think, centrally, like the idea of trust and the idea that this person, right, they might not be trying not to trust you, but it does help to give them reasons to trust you. And so what can you deliver to them early, whether it's 30 days, 60 days or whatever, that helps you establish that baseline of trust so that they do start coming to you for stuff.
There's almost a self-awareness to the trust part where you're like, they don't trust you, not because it's bad, because they don't know you. They have no
They don't know
basis
you.
to trust
Yeah.
you on anything. And so almost like the outcomes that you're after in those first little bit with a new leader, show that you know what you're talking about, show that, you can problem solve and just start giving them something they can depend on you for. And then from there, things will build and you get to the spot where you can get away with stuff that, get away with mistakes or
Yeah.
kind of, hey, I missed this
Yeah, yeah.
thing, or I didn't deliver on this, or I didn't execute, or I didn't think about this other problem.
Which requires trust. Yep.
I learned a lot in the last week. We talked a little bit about all the things that I've been learning in Florida. What did you learn
Yeah.
this week?
This will be, let me tell a little Thanksgiving story, not really a story, but I'll do it Thanksgiving themed, which is back in the day, I was at UNC in undergrad, studied abroad. In my study abroad group was a woman named Eve Carson, who went on to become the student body president and then was sadly murdered her senior year of college.
That took
I think this
a
was back in
turn.
like '08.
Whoa.
Yeah. At any rate, crazy to think like how long ago that was and how truly like young she was. She was a pretty remarkable person, and I didn't stay super close with her or anything after
Yeah.
the study abroad trip. But she was a really impactful person, even in like the short periods of time she might have known folks. One of the things she would do was like you'd be having a conversation with her, and at the end of that conversation, she would just like turn to you, look you dead in the eye, and say, "Thank you for this conversation. That was really great. Like I really enjoyed talking with you about
Wow.
that." And the first couple times she did it, it's such an off-putting thing. Like that never
It's so
happens, right?
awkward. It doesn't feel
And
genuine.
it doesn't, but it was like that's the
Yeah.
crazy part, and it sort of disarms you in the moment, and you're just like, "Is this sarcastic? Like, what is happening here?" And then you realize like that's just her. It was important for her to share that back with that person. Let them know like that time that you had spent with her was valuable to her. And so, anyways, it was an interesting experience and one that I was kind of like, oh, that's an interesting way to do that. Like nobody ever does that. The only other person that's ever done that was my daughter, my oldest daughter. She doesn't do it as much anymore, but sometimes we would like go and do a thing or we would have dinner or something. She was just like, thank you for dinner. That was really nice. I enjoyed spending that time with you. And so she would just say, express that gratitude for the time that we had spent. And it wasn't for the dinner or like sometimes we would just have a conversation. She would say like, thank you for spending the time. And she was like young when she was doing that. She was like 4 years old and stuff. So, I would love to make a better habit of letting people know that the time that we spend together, I value. Who knows how good I'll be at doing that, but just an opportunity to kind of remember, like, you never know when you're going to see somebody again, right?
Yeah.
And all the things that
Yeah.
happen in life, as bananas and corny as it probably seems in the moment, like you'll go back and remember the like that person thanked you for that time and appreciated it, was like expressed gratitude. So anyways, like one, what a credit to like the empath that my daughter is, that she was doing this like at a really young age and is the second person I know who's ever done this. But two, like an opportunity just to keep something alive that Eve Carson did, that I still remember some like
Yeah.
I don't even know, almost 20 years ago, basically, that I still remember. So that was
That's cool.
my lesson learned. How about you,
Are
John?
you advocating or pushing your kids to study abroad pretty strongly? Like, is that a requirement in your family,
Um,
or a gap year, or just kind of that sort of thing?
this is a good question. I don't know. I guess my opinion on it would be like, why not? Like, why wouldn't
Yeah.
you do that?
Yeah. I studied abroad. It was hugely impactful. It's funny that this came up, I suppose, because a couple weeks ago, where I studied, there was a meet a family program, and typically people would stay a day or two, or a night or two with their meet a family over the
Yeah,
semester. And we were with ours, I think, 15 times. Like we just regularly got together with them. It was awesome. It was like every other week, if not
wow,
more so. And so the same thing happened in my head, where like time went on, 20 years by, and I thought, they may have passed. And so I was like, I got to get out there to see them, because it was such a good experience, and they were so kind. I don't know how many students they had, how many kept in touch. So I
yeah,
emailed them, and then like kind of anxiously waited a response, and like I just
yeah,
got the chills, like got a response from them. And it
wow,
was
yeah,
my lesson learned is a little bit kind of interesting. I don't know. You tell me if it's interesting. So I was reading a book. I can't remember the name of the book, but it was talking about how just the language of nature, which is very soft and very whatever. But the hard facts that they were talking about is that if you're in the forest and it goes quiet, you have 7 minutes to get out of that location, because essentially animals like birds, like the things that make sounds in the forest, they will stop making sounds if there's a storm coming. That's a big one. If there's a predator in the area, and so the quieter it gets, the more urgent you might want to consider leaving. And it's
yeah.
7 minutes. There's a bubble of time, basically, like that travels with whatever that danger is.
7 minutes is not a lot of time. Like, what's the most the furthest you could get in that 7 minutes
Right,
on foot, right? Like,
right. Yeah, that's exactly where my head went to. Is like, I kind of think I want more time than that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Maybe just bury a hole. Maybe you'd be better off just digging under.
Oh, I thought you meant like dig your own grave. Like, you're dead, dude. Just go down into it.
Could be both, right? Like if you don't
true.
live, then save somebody some digging time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as always, good to see you. Thank you.
On
Getting
that
to
cheery
market
note.
every Tuesday here
Every
in your
Tuesday.
inbox. Do you say that? In your podcast feed? In your feed?
In your podcast inbox.
In your podcast inbox. Tell me
We
you're
should
millennial.
start mailing CDs with the podcast on
Oh,
it.
good.
Like
That's such
AOL.
a great idea.
Yeah.
We've
That's
got
a
some
good
exciting stuff coming from Getting to Market. Not only CDs in your mail, if you still get those, but stay tuned every Tuesday. Glad to have
Very curious
you.
what this exciting thing coming up is.
Dude, pay attention. Do you even do your job? All right.
What are you previewing? Bye.
Good to see you, bud. Bye.